Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. My name is Kathleen Movito and I'll be your host for today's webinar titled Thrift Savings Plan Changes. Are you financially prepared? Joining me today is Rob Bray, Relationship Manager for AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust. This monthly webinar series is brought to you by AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust. Our vision is to ensure the financial security and independence of members of the armed forces community, active, retired, honorably discharged service members, and their families. We accomplish this by being the premier provider of financial planning, investment management, and trust services for all branches of the military. We are AAFMAA's trust company. AAFMAA stands for American Armed Forces Mutual Aid Association. AAFMAA, created in 1879, is the longest-standing not-for-profit association exclusively serving the military. We empower military families with affordable financial solutions. AAFMAA focuses exclusively on the needs of the military family and provides innovative, personalized, and lifestyle-appropriate financial services. A key point that sets AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust apart from other companies is that we are a fiduciary. What that means is we have a legal obligation to act in your best interest and for your benefit. One important disclaimer before we begin this month's webinar. The information presented herein was compiled from sources believed to be reliable. This presentation is for educational purposes and is furnished without responsibility for completeness or accuracy. Its general information is not specific investment, legal, or tax advice for any individual. Do not rely on this presentation alone to guide your financial planning decisions. Since each individual situation is unique, your needs for financial services will differ. For individual advice, please contact us directly. We produce this webinar series in-house with our own professional staff as a service to our members and to help them better understand the resources available to them. I'll now go ahead and turn it over to Rob to begin the presentation.
Thanks, Kathleen. Hi, I'm Rob Bray. I'm a wealth manager here with AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust. Thanks much for joining me today for a webinar on recent changes to the federal government's Thrift Savings Plan, or TSP. As full disclosure, I'm also an investor in the TSP from my days on active military duty and while working in the federal government. Here's our brief agenda for today. First off, please don't be misled by the title 2017 TSP Modernization Act. While this is in fact the legal title of the act, it was not actually implemented until 15 September 2019. So this is a very recent and important change. This brief will review those changes and how they will impact members who are invested in the TSP. And we'll wrap up with some additional important information on TSP policies that impact surviving spouses, some non-spouse beneficiary options, and required minimum distributions, or RMDs. But the overall bottom line for this act is that it's a much improved version of the TSP and should significantly benefit members. Here on slide 6 is a summary of the significant changes of the 2017 TSP Modernization Act. We'll review these in detail on the following slides. The 2017 Act was implemented in 15 September 2019 because it took the TSP board this amount of time to adjust their system for these significant changes. These changes will enhance withdrawal options for TSP investors. On slide 7 is a summary of the changed benefits, again effective 15 September. These changes are also available to surviving spouses who inherit a TSP account from their deceased spouse. One of the key changes is that TSP investors may now make multiple withdrawals from their TSP account. Prior to the change, investors were severely limited in withdrawal options, both while working and after retirement, mostly limited to one withdrawal. This has changed and for the good. Please note that any withdrawals from a traditional TSP account will be subject to federal and possibly state taxes. It's also important to closely review withdrawal decisions with your tax professional and/or financial advisor. If nothing else, review your tax bracket for the previous year to gauge how much of an increase in income is possible without entering into the next highest marginal tax bracket. This is very important. Retirees can now take monthly withdrawals, change the amounts as desired, and currently employed workers age 59 and a half and older may take up to 4 in-service withdrawals annually. But again, a word of caution, withdrawals from the traditional TSP account will be taxable as ordinary income. And withdrawals taken before age 59 and a half could be subject to a 10% IRS penalty, though there are some exceptions. Another very important positive change for investors, We have both Roth and traditional TSP accounts, as the withdrawals may now come from either account. Prior to the change, withdrawals had to come out on a pro rata basis from both accounts, depending on the account balances. That's no longer the case. Also, withdrawal requests may now be submitted online. Previously, withdrawal requests had to be mailed or faxed. We have TSP contact information at the end of this webinar if you'd like to contact them. Continuing to slide 8, additional related to withdrawals, investors aged 72 and older, the new age when required minimum distributions become effective, are no longer required to be taken in a complete withdrawal decision. Previous to the change, such a decision was required. Retirees may select monthly, quarterly, or annual withdrawals, and amounts may be changed at any time. Again, previously, this was not allowed. Change to amounts were limited to once a year during, quote, open season, end quote. And lastly, the 6-month investment waiting period for taking an in-service hardship withdrawal is eliminated. Continuing to slide 9, there are yet some more positive changes to the TSP on the way. Beginning in third quarter 2020, the life cycle funds will change to 5-year increments versus the current 10 years. So with this change, those funds will be for 2025, 2030, 2035, 2040, and etc. And the mix of funds will continue with each life cycle fund to adjust throughout the year, gradually moving to less risky investments as an investor ages. Also, the automatic enrollment percentage increases from 3% to 5% on 1 October 2020 for new federal employees. On slide 10, let's review what's not changed within the TSP as a result of the 2017 Act. Required minimum distributions, or RMDs, must still be taken from both the traditional and the Roth accounts once the investor reaches age 72. Note that the RMD age was recently changed by the Secure Act, something different, which became effective 1 January 2020. This is true even though withdrawals from Roth TSP accounts usually are not taxed. However, there is a way to avoid this. Prior to the investor reaching age 72, they may now transfer Roth TSP funds to a Roth IRA. This should be done institution to institution without the investor physically taking control of the funds. Once the funds are held within a Roth IRA, RMDs are no longer required. Prior to the 15 September change, transferring only Roth TSP funds was not possible. On slide 11, let's review some more of the important TSP topics. A surviving spouse is allowed to keep funds in a TSP account. It will, however, be retitled as a beneficiary participant account, or a BPA. This is important. They may withdraw or move around the funds just like their spouse was able to. They're also able to roll over some or all of the funds to an IRA or an employer-qualified account. But the key feature for a BPA is that it's not available for non-spouses. And very significantly, when the BP owner passes away, the BPA account is closed and their beneficiaries receive all the funds remaining in the account minus 20% taken out for taxes, per the distribution stated on the TSP beneficiary form. The funds are not available for a 10-year withdrawal period for their heirs. This is very significant. However, there is a way to avoid this. BPA owners are allowed to roll the BPA funds over into a traditional or Roth IRA. Once the funds are held within an IRA, when the owner passes away, their heirs may then stretch out the withdrawals of the funds over a 10-year period. This is a new provision of the recently passed Secure Act. For non-spouse beneficiaries, heirs may not keep funds invested within the TSP. The funds may be withdrawn as a lump sum, keeping in mind the full taxation for all traditional TSP investments. They may also be transferred to an inherited IRA and withdrawn over a 10-year period. Here on slide 12 is the contact information for the TSP questions. I found them to be quite responsive and knowledgeable, and they'll help you out. In summary, the 2017 TSP Modernization Act has significantly enhanced withdrawal options for investors, both retired and those still working. And as previously noted in this brief, investors are strongly encouraged to talk with a tax professional or trained financial advisor prior to taking any action with the TSP investments. If you have any questions, I'd welcome the opportunity to answer them for you. Thank you again for joining, and I wish you all the best for 2020.
Thank you so much, Rob. That was a very important presentation for many of our members here at AAFMAA. Just a reminder of some of the disclosures we discussed in the beginning. And if you did have a question during the presentation, you can feel free to enter that right now on the question bar on your screen, and we will get back to you in the next day or two. If you think of something afterwards, all of Rob's contact information is here on the screen. You can get in contact with wealth management in general by going to afma.com/wealth. So we do these presentations every 2 weeks, so we have 2 a month, and we have 1 every month of wealth management, so be sure to tune in more often. You can access those webinars at afma.com/webinars, and again, you can register for new webinars coming out or review past ones. This weekend, you'll receive a follow-up email about this webinar with a recording, so you can review the presentation anytime that you would like. And until then, we look forward to helping you. Again, please be sure to get in contact with us with the information on the screen. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.